Hi dear students, in the last presentation we have discussed about geothermal energy, and at the end I have forgot to discuss about advantages and disadvantages of the geothermal energy. So first we will discuss advantages and disadvantages of geothermal energy, and then we will move on to the topic of this presentation, that is energy derived from ocean, that is thermal energy from ocean, that is wave energy, tidal energy, etc. Okay. So first coming to the advantages and disadvantages of the geothermal energy. Advantages are it is renewable energy and produces just 1/6 of the carbon dioxide emitted by the clean natural gas power plant. So it is the cleanest source, we can say. There is no carbon dioxide produced, there is no combustion, so carbon dioxide is not there. So we can directly use it. So that is main advantage. It is cheaper than the conventional energy with savings of as much as 80% compared with fossil fuels. So if you are implementing a geothermal power plant and producing energy, producing power, in order to produce that much power we have to use some amount of fossil fuels. So if you go for geothermal energy, saving in energy will be almost 80% compared with the fossil fuels. So we can reserve that non-renewable source of energy for the future. Unlike other renewable energy sources such as solar and wind, it is constantly available. See, if it is available in a particular place, then it is constantly going to be available. So, but wind and solar energies are intermittently available source of energy only. So these three are the main advantages of geothermal energy. But coming to the disadvantages, production is limited to the areas near the tectonic plate boundaries. So see, everywhere it is not available, so some place restriction is there. Wherever it is available, there only we can go for this type of energy. In addition, some locations may cool down after decades of use. See, in some sources even we have, presently we are having that geothermal source of energy, but there is a chance that it may exhaust in the upcoming futures. So we cannot fully depend on geothermal energy. That is another, that is the main disadvantage with this source of energy. Although it is cheaper than fossil fuels, once a plant has been built, the drilling and exploration of this site is expensive. See, initial cost will be very high. This is in part due to the amount of wear experienced by drills and other tools in such aggressive environments. See, I have already told we don't have that much technology to drill into the depth of the earth crust. So limitation is there. If you go in and if you go into the depth and depth, we don't have that technology. A lot of wear resistance will be there. So the drilling machine will have some problems and all. So that is another limitation. We can't go much depth into the earth crust. The third limitation is geothermal plants can release hydrogen sulfide, a gas that smells like rotten eggs. Finally, some geothermal fluids contain low level of toxic materials which need to be disposed. So these are the another problem. See, it is, there is no combustion involved, so no CO2 produced. But another danger is there. Sometimes it, along with this geothermal water and all, water or steam, whatever it is available, along with that some hydrogen sulfide is also released into the atmosphere, which is going to be a pollutant, and even some toxic materials may also come along with this source of energy. That is the main disadvantages. Now coming to the topic of this presentation, that is energy derived from ocean. The ocean can produce two types of energy. First is thermal energy from the sun's heat and mechanical energy from the tides and waves. So and the ocean is actually providing two types of energy. One is thermal energy. We know that ocean cover more than 70% of the earth's surface. So actually it is the world's largest solar collector, we can say. Solar energy is largely collected by this water itself. So water will be absorbing the solar energy, and its temperature is slightly getting increased in the upper layer of the water of the ocean. So if you go to the depth, towards the depth, it won't have that much temperature. So some temperature difference exists between the upper surface of the water in the ocean as well as the lower surface water. So that temperature difference is being utilized for the power production. That is what is known as thermal energy from the sun's heat. And if it is mechanical energy, the energy available with the tides and waves are utilized for the power production. That is what is actually mechanical energy. So ocean covers more than 70% of Earth's surface, making them the world's largest solar collectors. The sun's heat warms the surface water a lot more than the deep ocean water, and this temperature difference creates thermal energy. So, as I have told, upper layer of the water in the ocean will have a higher temperature because it is directly exposed to the sunlight and it is absorbing the heat energy from the sun rays, and the temperature is raised, whereas the solar radiation or sun ray is not reaching towards the depth of the ocean. So at this shallow water or towards the depth of the ocean, the layer of water will have a low temperature. If you go into the depth, even temperature around 10 degrees Celsius or lower than that temperature is also possible if you go towards the depth of the sea. Okay, so that temperature difference is being utilized is known as thermal energy. There are three types of electricity conversion system based on this thermal energy, that is closed cycle, open cycle and hybrid. All these are possible. So in a closed cycle, energy extraction from thermal energy of the ocean is in a closed system, the systems use the ocean's warm surface water to vaporize a working fluid. See, a separate working fluid is used here. So I have already told the surface water will be having high temperature. So this heat energy of the upper surface water will be utilized for vaporizing a particular secondary fluid. A working fluid is being used. Most probably it will be a fluid with refrigerant property, that is ammonia and all, which has a low boiling point such as ammonia. The vapor expands and turns a turbine. See, once the vapor is created, that vapor is passed through the turbine for expansion. So once the vapor expands within the turbine, power is produced in the turbine, that we know. So after expansion, this working fluid again has to bring back to its liquid state, cold liquid state, then only it can recirculate for the again for vaporization. So for that we have a separate system. See, I can explain it, this figure, ocean thermal energy plants. Here this is the turbine. So in the upper portion the water will have higher temperature. So in the evaporator, this is what is, this component is known as evaporator. I think what is written here is not clear. This is evaporator and this is our condenser, this one is our pump and this one is turbine. These are the four basic components of a Rankine cycles. Okay, so the vapor will be circulating along this line. Okay, so ammonia is the working fluid used here. So through this pipe ammonia will be continuously flowing. So coming to the turbine, what happens is the high pressure, high temperature ammonia vapor. See, the state of the ammonia entering into the turbine is vapor state and its temperature is very high and temperature pressure is also high. High temperature, high pressure ammonia vapor will be entering into the turbine. So within the turbine, this vapor will expand and it will produce the power, and that mechanical power is utilized for producing electricity. Generator will be coupled here, so we can produce the electricity. So after expansion, what happens is during expansion the pressure of the vapor will be decreasing. So after expansion, the steam leaving the turbine, steam means vapor, not steam, the vapor of the ammonia leaving the turbine will be in vapor state itself, but of low pressure. That low pressure vapor state ammonia is now entering into the condenser. So in the condenser is actually a heat exchanger. So two coils will be there. Through one coil, this ammonia vapor will be passing. Through the other coil, cold water, which is actually taken from the depth of the ocean. See, at the depth of the ocean we will have low temperature fluid. From that we will be carrying we will be pumping the water to the condenser. So low temperature fluid will be passing through the other coil of the condenser. These two fluids will not be mixing together. Separate coils will be there inside this heat exchanger. So through one coil vapor will be passing. So while vapor passes through the heat exchanger coils, what happens is it is through the other coil the water will be flowing, or outside that coil cold water will be flowing. So the coolant, we call it as coolant, that coolant will absorb the heat energy from this vapor. So once vapor of the ammonia loses its heat content, its phase is changing from vapor state to liquid state. So while the vapor passes through this condenser, it will the vapor ammonia will give away its heat to the cooling water. That cooling water actually is extracted from the depth of the ocean. At that level we will have the low temperature water available. So that is being pumped through the heat exchanger. So that cooling water we will call it as coolant. Coolant will absorb the heat energy from the ammonia vapor, and ammonia vapor is changing its phase to liquid state. So that low temperature liquid phase ammonia will be coming to this ammonia pump. This one is ammonia, fourth component is ammonia pump. So pump will be pumping the liquid state ammonia into the evaporator. So within the evaporator, same thing is happening here. This also is a heat exchanger. In this heat exchanger, what happened is there is a coolant circulated along the heat exchanger coil. Here instead of coolant we will be circulating a hot water. So from where we will get that hot water? That hot water is actually available from the uppermost layer of the ocean. So at the uppermost layer we have hot water. So that hot water is pumped through this through the coils of this evaporator heat exchanger. So the heat energy from this hot water is absorbed by the cold liquid refrigerant or liquid ammonia passing through the heat exchanger. So what happens once the ammonia liquid extracts heat from this hot water, the ammonia will get vaporized. That is the specification of the ammonia. At low temperature, even at 30 degree, 35 degrees Celsius, ammonia will get vaporized. So by extracting the heat from this hot water, which is available at the earth's surface and it is pumped through the evaporator coils, so the heat is absorbed by the ammonia and it is getting vaporized to high temperature, high pressure vapor. That vapor is passing through the turbine for producing the power. So this completes the cycle. That type of cycles. This one, see here, ammonia is passing through a closed cycle. Nowhere ammonia is directly coming in contact with the atmosphere and all. So it is a closed cycle. Ammonia path is actually a closed cycle. But cold water, after extracting the heat, it is directly expelled into the sea itself. Like hot water also, after giving the heat to the ammonia, it is directly expelled to the sea itself. So for cold water and hot water, it is open cycle, but as far as this ammonia working fluid cycle is concerned, it's a closed cycle. So that's why it is called closed cycle power generation electricity conversion system. Closed cycle system uses the ocean's warm surface water to vaporize a working fluid which has a low boiling point such as ammonia. The vapor expands and turns the turbine. The turbine then activates a generator to produce the electricity. That is what is happening in a closed cycle. In an open cycle, there is no recirculation. So open cycle system actually boil the seawater by operating at low pressure. This produces the steam that passes through the turbine bar generator. So in an open cycle, what we will do is we have hot water available at the surface of the ocean. So that high temperature water we will be pumping to a separate chamber. So separate chambers will be there. That chamber, the peculiarity of that particular chamber is that particular chamber will be kept at a very low pressure, or we call it as vacuum chambers. So to that vacuum chamber actually we are pumping this hot water. So once the hot water reaches that vacuum chamber, I have already told the boiling temperature is directly dependent on the pressure on the fluid. So if pressure is decreased at low pressure, even at a low temperature, the water will boil. At atmospheric temperature, the boiling temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. If at vacuum, at very low temperature, even at 10 degrees Celsius, 20 degrees Celsius, we will be able to vaporize the water. So that technology is being used in the open cycle. So separate flash chambers, we will call it as flash chambers. Flash chambers will be there. That chamber will be kept at a very low pressure. So high temperature means not 100 degree and all. It is just 35, 38, 40 degree, maximum 40 degree, 45 degrees Celsius water that is available from the sea surface is directly pumped into that flash chamber. Within that flash chamber, the pressure is kept as very low. So due to that low pressure, with the same temperature, the water will get vaporized. That vapor or steam, vaporized means vapor of water is nothing but steam. That steam is used to run a turbine. Then we can produce the electricity. That is what is mean open cycle. So there is no recirculation of the working fluid back. So that's why it is called open cycle. Now comes the third one, that is hybrid system. It combines both closed cycle and open cycle system together. That type is known as open cycle. If both are used together, then it is commonly known as hybrid system. So that is all about the thermal energy extraction from the ocean. So now coming to the mechanical energy extraction. So mechanical energy is mainly related with tides and waves. Both tide and wave are having mechanical energy associated with this one. So actually you may be getting confused with the term tide and wave. Both are not the same. Tide is actually, we'll call in Malayalam Veliyatam, Veliyirakam. That is what is known as tide. Okay, and wave is actually that Teramala. That is what is known as wave. Okay, both are different one. So from both tidal as well as wave, we can produce the electricity or we can extract the power. So first one is tidal energy conversion. First method is a barrage method. In that, a barrage dam is typically used to convert tidal energy into electricity by forcing the water through the turbines, activating a generator. See, when as the in a 24-hour time, around 6 hours it is we will have high tide, then low tide will be there. Based on the movement of the moon, by the attractive force of the moon, actually tide is happening. So sometimes we will have high tide and low tide, is both are intermittently coming. So when we have the high tide, what we will do is, you can see from the figure, this is high tide. When we have the high tide, we will have a permanent barrage, dam like structure we will be building a dam like structure within the seashore itself. So at the high tide, the water level will be high at this side, left side of the barrage. So water will be flowing through this opening. Okay, so during the incoming tide or high tide time, the water will be flowing towards the other side. So here also we will have the same level of water finally. So at the low time, what we will do is, we will have sluice gate. So during the high tide, we will keep that sluice gate open, so that the water will be directly passing to the other side of the barrage through this opening. Within that opening itself, we have provided the turbine also. So if the water flows towards one direction, the blades of the turbine will rotate, which in turn is utilized for the power production. So at that time, the blade will be rotating in the one direction and power is being produced. So water level at the other side will be increasing. So at the time of low tide, what happens is, these sluice gates are kept closed. See, sluice gates are lowered, so that restricted flow of water only is there through the turbine tunnel. So at the low tide, the water level in this side will be decreased, but at the high tide, we have stored enough water at the other side of the barrage. So at low tide, when the water level is low here, the water level is at the same time, the stored water level will be high at this side. So the water will be gradually flowing the water will gradually flow back to the ocean through this opening. At that time also, we can produce the electricity, but of course the rotation of the blade will be in the opposite direction. So either one thing we can do is, we have to produce the power only during the one direction flow of the water, or if we have the technological methods to produce power from both directions, then that also is possible. Okay, so that depends on the technology. So while the water flows through one direction, either we will be producing power while the water flowing through one direction, or while the water flowing through both directions, if we are able to produce the power. For that we need the technology. See, the blade rotation will be different. അങ്ങോട്ടേക്ക് ഇവിടെ ഹൈ ടൈഡ് വരുമ്പോൾ വെള്ളം അങ്ങോട്ടേക്ക് ഫ്ലോ ചെയ്യുമ്പോഴുള്ള ബ്ലേഡിൻ്റെ റൊട്ടേഷൻ ആയിരിക്കില്ല, opposite ആയിട്ട് വാട്ടർ ഫ്ലോ ഉണ്ടാകും. സോ ഡയറക്ഷൻ ഓഫ് ദി ബ്ലേഡ്സ് ആർ ഗെറ്റിംഗ് റിവേഴ്സ്ഡ്. So electricity production, of course, coming to the electricity side, if it is AC, then that cyclic change will be there. Okay, instead of high wave we require, at that time we will be getting low waves. That if the rotation is reversed, that effect is also there. So those who are interested in electricity generation and all, they can do more research on that particular. Anyway, one direction it is possible to produce the electricity. If you have the technological advancements, we can go for the production in the both direction also. That's all. Anyway, by barrage or constructing a dam near to the shore of the sea, we can produce the electricity. That is what is first method of, that is what is the one method of converting tidal energy to the power. Okay, now coming to the next one, that is wave energy conversion. We are using, I think, three technologies are being used for wave energy conversion. Out of that, first one is channel system. Okay, for wave energy conversion there are three basic systems. First one is channel system, that funnel the wave into the reservoirs. From the figure itself, it is very much clear to you. We can build this type of system only to the shore where sedimentary rocks are available. Okay, so this is the actually our sea level water. So we will be creating some converting inclined channel. You can see some flow passages being created. So during high waves, what happens is, water will be flowing through this canal, and it will be entering to the basin on or reservoir which is constructed into the rock area or the land available to the shore of the sea. See, these types of cliff face sedimental rocks are required for the construction of these types of channel system. In the open offshore, it is not on the open shore, it is not practically possible. See, a very strong sedimental rock structure is required for the construction of these types of channel system. So we will be building a reservoir like structure. So all these sites will be having sedimental rocks. So all these sites we have the sedimental rocks, and we are providing a small opening, and it is made into a channel like structure, so that whatever water is entering will not leave through the same way. That is the construction, like that only it is being constructed. So whatever water is entering because of the high tide will be wave will be entering and is stored within this reservoir or basin. Through the other side we have an opening, and the water from this side will be extracted through this pipe, just like penstocks in the hydro power plants and all. We will be carrying the water from this reservoir through a turbine. That power of that water is used to run the turbine. Of course the head available will be very less, so low head turbines only is practically possible here. So anyway, some amount of energy is being extracted by using the rotation of the turbine. So the water stored in the reservoir will be made available to pass through the turbine. So once the water passes through the turbine, the blades are rotated, so electricity is produced. After extracting the power, the water is directly returned into the sea itself. So these types of power production is known as channel system. So by this channel system we can extract the power available from the wave. Okay, it is not based on tide, it is based on wave. So high wave and low wave will be the തിര ഇങ്ങനെ പൊന്തി വരും താണു വരും. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു തിര അടിച്ചു വരുന്ന സമയത്തേക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യും, ഈ റിസർവോയറിലേക്ക് സ്റ്റോർ ചെയ്യും. ഓക്കെ, പിന്നെ അവിടെ ട്രാപ്പായി. അതിന് പിന്നെ ഇറ്റ് കാണ്ട് എസ്കേപ്പ് ത്രൂ ദിസ് സൈഡ് ഓർ all the sides are closed, so it can't escape. Only option is to escape through this small channel. So only small amount of water, whatever is entering will not leave. So always we will have a deposit of water here. So it is what is known as reservoir. അതിന് നമുക്ക് വേണ്ടതെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഒരു കടൽ തീരത്ത് പാറക്കെട്ടൊക്കെയുള്ള സ്ഥലം മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് ഇതിന് പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി പോസിബിൾ ആകും. അപ്പം അങ്ങനെയുള്ള പാറ തുരന്നിട്ടാണ് ഈ ഒരു കുളം പോലെയുള്ള സംഭവം ഉണ്ടാക്കിയിട്ടുള്ളത്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഏരിയാസ് ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ ഇത് പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി പോസിബിൾ ആകും. അല്ലാണ്ട് സാധാരണ ഒരു കടൽ തീരത്ത് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് പ്രാക്ടിക്കലി പോസിബിൾ. Now next one is float system that drives hydraulic pumps. See, float systems are being utilized for running of the hydraulic pumps and it is producing the energy. So for electricity production we know that high head water is required. If head of water available is very high, we can produce high amount of energy. So in this system what we will be doing is we will be using the energy available with the up and down motion of the wave will be utilized to pump the water to a particular height, and water is stored in that particular height. That means very high head water is available. That high head water is used to run through a turbine to produce the electricity. That is what is happening. So once some pump working based on the up and down motion of the wave is required to store the water at a particular height or high head water. Okay, so for that we will be using a hydraulic pump. So a float system is used to operate this pump. That's why it is called a float system. Float or buoy is being used. So the float will be suspended over the surface of the water, sea water, and at the inner towards the inner portion we will have the pump fixed on the shore of the sea. So this buoy is directly connected to the reciprocating piston inside this cylinder. So as the wave moves up, what happens is this buoy is also moving upward. That means this piston moves upward. So when the buoy when the wave have a lower motion, always we know that wave is having high wave, low wave, like that it is moving. So it will have a upper region as well as the lower region continuously. ഇങ്ങനെ ഒന്ന് പൊന്തി താണ് that motion is there. So sinusoidal motion is there for the wave. So once wave is in the maximum height, the buoy floats over that wave. That means float is moving upward, so piston is moving upward. So due to the vacuum created inside this cylinder, the water from the sea is entering into this cylinder, just like in a reciprocating pump. So now if the buoy moves downward, means the piston also will be moving downwards, which is pushing the water, pressurizing the water inside this cylinder. That pressurized water will be carried to the required height based on the pressure that we can produce. Okay, so to and fro motion of the float or buoy, because of the motion of the wave, is being utilized to run a piston inside the cylinder. So that piston also will be moving to and fro based on the float movement of to and fro motion of the float. So during the upward motion of the piston, vacuum is created inside the cylinder, so water is sucked in. So during the downward motion of the float, piston also will be moving downward. That means the piston, the water already trapped inside the cylinder will be getting pressurized. So we know that P equal to rho GH. So based on that, whatever may be the pressure generated inside this one, up to that height, the water will be pumped. So by this pumping method we can pump the water to a particular height and we can store it there, and that stored water will have a very high potential energy based on the height. So that is being used for the expansion within the turbine for producing the power. Okay. So high head water is available compared to this one. Here we don't have high head water availability. So of course low head turbines are only practically possible, like Kaplan turbines and all will be producing the power. But here somewhat medium head is possible. So even we can go for the Francis turbines and all. Okay. Now coming to the third system, that is oscillating water column system, that uses waves to compress the air within a container. See here, when the a particular section will be constructed like this during high wave or air inside the chamber, just like the first system, that is channel system. Here also these types of systems are practically possible only if we have steep rocks available at the shore, then only these types of systems are possible. Otherwise we will have to make it using the concrete structures and all. So anyway, we will be constructing a particular structure or channel like structure like this. So what happens is a turbine is kept somewhere here. So when we have the high tide, high wave, when we are having a high wave, so water up to this level, water also will be entering in this chamber. So if you assume that initially entire air is there inside this chamber, so once the water enters, the air inside this one is getting pressurized, so that high pressure air will be flowing through the blades of this generator, and it will be rotating the blades of the generator to produce the electricity. So during low wave, what happens is the water level will be decreasing. So of course the water level here also will be decreasing. So what happens is the pressure inside this chamber will be decreased. That means the air from the outside will be flowing towards this chamber. So at that time also, if required, we can rotate the blades and we can produce the electricity, just like in the case of this one, that is this one, barrage system. Okay. So here also instead of water, air will be used as the working fluid. Inside this chamber, air column, will have the air initially. So at low wave, the water level in the chamber will be less. So up to this level only water will be there. So here vacuum is created. So air from the outside atmosphere will be passing through this opening to this chamber. So while the air passes through this opening, there we have the generator and blades are rotated to produce the electricity. So during the high wave, the whatever air is entering into this chamber is getting pressurized due to the water enter into this chamber. So this will compress the air inside. That compressed air will be forced to flow through this opening towards the outside. So to and from motion of the air. So during the low wave, air will be entering into this chamber. During the high wave, the air will be expelled through this opening. So in that opening, we are connecting a generator to produce the electricity. So these types of energy generating from the wave is known as oscillating water column system. See here the oscillating nature of the water inside this column. See inside this column, actually water is oscillating. So that oscillating nature of the water is used to produce the electricity. That's why it is called oscillating water column system. So these are all the energy extraction from the ocean in different types. Now coming to the benefits, it is a clean energy, a renewable energy, abundant, all these are known to you, slightly intermittent, so 90% compared to 30%, but predictable. See this also is sometimes we cannot 100% we cannot predict the availability of water, and the height and all will be varying. See tidal height, up to what height water will rise, and it is not predictable. More energy dense than air, wind. More energy can be produced compared to the wind and air. And bulk of production lives near water, reducing energy loss. And different wave energy conversion available for differing environmental and needs, reduces damage to the land, low operating costs. All these are the benefits as far as thermal energy, ocean energy conversion is concerned. Now coming to the drawbacks: high upfront cost. Initial cost will be high, of course. Rarely breakages are costly, and low rate of improvement, only suitable in certain locations. Duck cave issue with bad weather, effects on marine life, boating concerns, noise and aesthetics. All these are the drawbacks. Just for the examination point of view, if you require, you can by heart it. That's all. Okay. That are all the benefits and drawbacks as far as ocean energy is concerned. Okay. Thank you.